Hi, Karen.
Hello.
How has your day been after I left this morning?
Actually, very good. Because after you came in and some of the feedback that you gave during the lesson, I tried with my second group with the giving of the answer choices one by one, and we talked through it. So I thought my second lesson today went better than my first.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. And I appreciate that you let me just ask some questions and step in like that, and I feel comfortable to do that with you. And there's no one right way to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And I just felt like at that time maybe they were ready for it, and it kind of worked out.
Oh, I think so.
But the way that I've noticed you teaching is it's not a, it's very depending on where the class is and what they're ready for next.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one thing that you're really good at is keeping that analysis constantly. You're in an assessment mode at all times.
Yeah.
And that's really important because that's what you're trying to teach the new teachers too, that you're mentoring. So we've set goals for in the school, but also as you and I have spoken about teacher talk time and reducing that with a goal of like 25-75, which is the far-reaching goal.
Right.
So where do you think kind of you are with that right now?
I probably am a 40-60. I'm very control. I have a hard time giving things up, and that's something I'm working on myself. I tend to be very controlling, and I want to lead them in the direction that I want them to go, rather than just letting it happen. So I'm still working, but
Okay.
about 40-60.
Well, it was very effective when as you give your think alouds, they kind of mirror that in their answers as well.
Mm-hmm.
But the key, kind of now since we are so close to this test, is to see how they've taken what you've taught them and can produce it. Mm-hmm. And it is hard to give it up.
It is.
It is very hard to give it up, but you're not the one doing that kind of learning. So,
I don't know how to take the test.
how do you think it will feel if tomorrow you go in that classroom and instead of you doing the think aloud, you pose the question?
And then just let them take off with it.
Mm-hmm.
We are, because the second part of this lesson is a paired passage. And it's a difficult passage because they're really opposites.
Mm-hmm.
So tomorrow I will try that and just say it and then sit back and wait and give the wait time. Because that's one thing I have become better with. It's just silence and letting them think.
Mm-hmm.
And then coming up with their answers. But I think I could do that tomorrow easily.
Okay. Well, since we've kind of pole vaulted into this part of the conversation, how about if we practice?
Okay.
And we just practice it, because I have some notes from some questions that you asked today. And your first one that I wrote down was, well, I'm not sure what I wrote down. What did you propose? Maybe, I don't know. I put a P there, and I'm not sure. But one of your next ones was, what purpose does this map or the diagram show? So in other words, what's the author's purpose for putting that in there? And you continue to talk a little bit.
Okay.
So if you're the class this time and I'm the teacher, we can model that way, and then we can turn it around and where you're asking another kind of question. You want to try that?
Okay.
All right. So, boys and girls, here's this diagram. What's the author's purpose for inserting diagrams into any text?
Yeah. Okay, so do you want me to reply as a student? The author's purpose on this particular diagram would be so that the reader would know how to identify the wood frog that we're reading about, because it's giving physical characteristics.
Okay. So identifying it by physical characteristics, not where it lives or how it moves from place to place or anything like that. Just physical characteristics. Okay. Do you believe that the the children think of themselves as the reader, and that text features help me as the reader understand. Can they speak in those terms?
I think so, because we've had a lot of conversation about particularly the photographs that the authors choose to put into the text. And we've had long discussions on you can only use what you see. And why would they want to put this particular photograph in this article at this time? And we've had that type of talk going on. So I think, if I would be quiet, that they would get there, that they would come to the conclusion of why it's being used or why it's in the text.
Okay.
Is that what you're asking?
No.
Okay.
But I do too. I mean, I think they'd come to that conclusion. And I wondered this when I was watching, can they speak in terms of, I'm the reader,
Okay.
and here's what the author is doing to help me understand?
Their passage.
Yes, because text features, when they're little, they still learn this is a label, this is a heading, this is a subheading. They learn what they are,
Mm-hmm.
but by 5th grade, they should know how it helps me. So if they could learn to speak, this diagram is helping me understand the physical features of this frog.
Right.
That's what I mean.
That, it would be interesting to take that question back and pose. How is this helping you as a reader? But to give them a piece of text
Mhm.
and then say,
Mhm.
tell me how this helps you as a reader.
And
Understand.
and maybe the sentence stem for them is, as, let's see, we'll have to kind of create this. As the reader, this diagram, so they have to call it,
Right.
this diagram helps me know, so they have to speak of it in first person.
Mm-hmm.
Helps me know. The title helps me know. The road map that I'm developing helps me.
Yep.
Yeah,
Helps me know the
yes.
direction or the navigation of
Yes.
the text, basically.
and to be able to speak it. It's like speaking vocabulary. They need to speak the word, not just hear it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, so let's try that. Let's try that. Just, you don't have to use this, I'm sorry. Just a question.
So in the text, there was a map. So if I pose the question to the students, you know,
I'm the student.
as the reader, how does the map help you understand the message the author's trying to get across? Or as the reader, how does, see, I have a feeling I'd give too much. How
Maybe
does
you
that
don't need
map
to write
help
it
me
down.
understand
Well,
the
you
text?
have something, write it down.
Yeah.
Let's just give it a minute to
Yeah, let me think for a minute. As the
craft your
reader.
question.
There's one particular word. How does the map? Let's see if this works. As the reader, how does the map enhance your understanding of the text? The author, but as the reader, how does the map help?
And what exactly do you want the answer to be? Write down exactly what you want the answer to be. What you want to come out of somebody's mouth.
Okay. Okay, this particular map was a map that showed location of the wood frog that they were reading about. So if I pose the question, as a reader, how does the map help you understand the author's message? Then,
Just why does the author?
or why does the author
You
place
make
the
it
map
simple.
in the text? It shows the location of the tree frogs
Yeah.
across the United States. I mean, it's as simple as that.
It's
So
yes.
I've got to make the question
Simple.
just flat. Yeah.
Because what are you trying to get at? What are you really trying to get at with
What is
this
the purpose
question?
of the map?
Exactly.
Okay.
So what is the author?
What was the author's purpose for including the map in the text?
And so the sentence stem to anybody, because you're trying to teach them to answer like this and to think like this. So it has to be simple. The map, so it's whatever the text feature is, and here it's the map. The map helps me know.
The location. Yep.
So the key here is text feature, me,
How does it help me?
and whatever it is that it helps me know.
Okay. And I do know I have some graphics in tomorrow's text, in tomorrow's article, so I'll be able to incorporate that and try it out.
Good. Okay. Then I want to hear how it goes.
Okay.
And so maybe we could get together just briefly, I mean, even in the hallway, but you could just kind of try it out tomorrow. And I think you're going to try two things, if I remember correctly. You're going to try this one. Oh, and then the other one you tried today of covering up and only exposing one item
At a time.
choice and letting them discuss that.
And talking through it.
And getting to the thinking.
Right. Why you chose this particular answer over that. We had some interesting conversations today, and there was a lot of I agree or I disagree going on. So I thought that was interesting.
Were they also justifying? I agree because.
Yes. And they would state their reason why they were agreeing with the student or why they disagreed with them.
Did they ever go back into the text to say, well, this is why? Because they were doing that this morning. So.
Right. And my first group is a little weaker than my second. My second is really good about going back into the text to prove. That's my.
I thought that was a pretty strong group. That first
They're
group.
doing better.
Yes, they are.
They are.
Yes, they're doing a lot better.
My second group is much stronger with that.
What would you think about having a child, I mean, it could be Jackson or it could be one of the girls, it could be anybody that you selected, track who you're calling on?
I think that's a good idea. And also back to this, I was thinking, because I did this with Valley Forge, I had 2 students write down the responses of the others, and I still have that. So I'm thinking the tracking, because I tried to make sure in the afternoon that I was hitting everyone. And I think I did that a little bit better. But I think it would be interesting to see the track. And just for myself, a simple mirror check.
What do you think it would tell you? What kind of information could you get from that kind of data?
It would have sort of who I depend on. When I feel as though things are getting a little off track, I have a tendency to go to my go-to students that I know can pull us back onto the conversation.
So do you think that's a positive move?
Somewhat, but I think it becomes a crutch for me also, because I'm not giving those others the opportunity to bring people back on. I tend to gravitate. I'm like, okay, I know this person can bring me back to where I'm wanting to steer them, but then have I put the words in their mouth, the other ones that I'm steering? So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a balancing act.
It is.
Absolutely it is. Anything else come to your mind about what else it could show you?
I wouldn't say favoritisms, but I would say it kind of shows some of the students I'm really worried about, that they're getting the information, because I had a tendency when I sat back and looked at it, there were Alina and Diego and Hayden and Danny and William, it's like pulling from, but I do target them a lot just to make sure that they're staying with me, because I'm afraid I'll lose them. So.
But you're very aware of every one of your students and their needs. And so I think tracking this data will show you some things that you haven't even thought about yet. So when you think you could try that even tomorrow? I mean, because Jackson has got it. I mean, you don't have to worry about Jackson.
Right.
He's going to
Right.
He's gonna have it, but or somebody.
He could track,
He
and
could
Alice can track.
Yeah.
Melanie can track.
Yeah.
I've got
Yeah.
they've done that before. Not their tracking, but the responses.
Mhm.
They've written the responses for me before.
Which is a whole lot harder
Mm-hmm.
than tally marking names.
Is. That is.
But and the other thing I noticed is you were not, or you were calling on people who were sitting in the desks as much as sitting on the floor, and they were all close enough to you to keep that connection going during the whole lesson, and everybody was paying attention. Everybody
I was. Really happy
was.
with that.
Yes.
I thought they did a good job. And the reason for the floor, I mean, we're so big.
Right.
I've got some big kiddos.
Yes.
And some of them are more comfortable in a chair, and I'm
Yeah,
I
fine
think
with
that's
that.
fine.
I
As long as
think
they
it's
have somebody
fine.
to talk to.
And as long as they're not disengaging.
Right.
But they were not disengaging.
No, even my, not outliers, but my border there, they did a good job.
Exactly. Okay, so I'm excited about what we've plan to do. We have some written plans, and
Okay.
so we'll get together and
Yeah, I'll work on my questions.
touch base. Yeah. So we're going to track. We're going to
Yes.
author's purpose and give them a sentence stem, and I think I'd put it in writing
Mm-hmm.
and make them refer to it if they, and they probably will do it by themselves anyway, maybe, but if they don't, refer them back to that sentence stem, and even a nonverbal reference.
Mm-hmm.
And then working on the reduction of teacher taught. And let's see. I'm excited to see how they can mimic your think aloud.
It will be interesting.
Yeah, it really will. Okay. All right. Well, I enjoyed today, and thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Karen.
Thank
You're a
you.
wonderful asset.
Thanks.